be trying to present it as general as possible. But let me see.
Most of the audience are from our university only. University students and the alumni across the globe. Now we are there in almost 9 countries. This webinar.
Oh, excellent.
So, they're through? Are you clear? Can you just speak something, sir?
Yeah. We can. Is my voice audible enough?
Yes, it is.
The volume is okay?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Both
So we'll be starting now.
The video, audio, both are good. And I'm just checking the public audience. Once it is good, we will go ahead with this program. Can you say something, some more thing, just to...
Yeah. And the question hour would be for about 15.
Can you say something, some more thing, just to...
Yeah. And the question hour would be for about 15 minutes, is it?
15 to 20 minutes. Or you can...
Or I can reduce the speech time and increase the question hour in case...
As you feel.
You know, they have more questions to ask.
As you feel.
Yeah.
Not an issue at
all. Okay.
So, shall we start the webinar, sir?
Yeah.
You're okay? Yes. Very good morning to everyone who has joined in this webinar and those who are going to join us in later stage by seeing this YouTube channel. Very good morning from Delhi, all our viewers, alumni, our students and staff fraternity of Dandelion University. This is GRA Center. We are on the second day of 10th webinar, 5 days webinar series. And we are having, as usual, different subjects, very eminent speakers across the whole webinar series. Whoever is following us will definitely acknowledge this fact also. It's a international webinar series, and we are trying to come out with very new subjects and very eminent speakers for our students fraternity. Our Chancellor, Dr. K. Mannamalai, has instigated this webinar series to start. And with his blessings, we are on. I'm really thankful to our Chancellor, Dr. K. Mannamalai, for this support. Our Vice Chancellor, Professor Madheswaran, our Registrar, Dr. V.K.R. Shivakumar. They have given unconditional support to this webinar series, and today we are on with this support. I also would like to thank all the coordinators of GRA Center, particularly today's coordinator. Unfortunately, he's having some other commitments, so he couldn't come. But Sandar Pandian, generally he used to be with us in this webinar series, and he used to watch us how this has been conducted. So, with this introduction, I would say we are on the second day of 5-day webinar series from Gandhigram Rural Institute, BMTU University, on the 10th webinar. Today we have very eminent speaker, Mr. Ravi Chandran, on a title, Modern Trends in Disinfection and Effluent Treatment of Water. This is what the topic he is going to speak. If we see, water has become a very precious thing in the earth. And every day, the level of water is going down. And what alternate is a major question towards everyone, with every country, with every individual. So there are certain things which are practiced, that is effluent treatment. And Mr. Ravi Chandran is a science grad from Madras University. He has been involved in chlorination industry since early 1980, which gives him a very strong technical background, market understanding, and immense goodwill in his domain, the business he is doing. Yes, sir.
Yeah. I hope I'm audible now.
Yeah, you're audible.
In between, there was some issue with the connectivity.
There was heavy rain in Delhi. That's the reason. Completely, it is disturbed.
Okay. Good afternoon to all the participants, And I would like to especially thank Dr. Annamalai and Dr. Madheshwaran and Dr. Shivakumar and Dr. Saundara Pandian for, and of course, Dr. Krishna Kumar for giving me this opportunity to talk to you people and share some of the my opinion and my ideas or my thoughts about treating water. Uh, I've been in the line of water treatment for nearly 40 years now, and specializing in disinfection. And as we all know, now I would like to open my slide show so that you are able to understand. Okay. I hope you can see the slide.
Yeah, acceptable.
Okay. See,
You have to bring it to mainstream. Yeah,
yeah.
true.
Okay. See, water is the most common item we all consume or we are in touch with. But most of us know very little about water, and especially drinking water. To start with, drinking water, most of the hospitals, nearly 70% of the diseases in the hospital, you will notice, are caused by waterborne diseases like diarrhea and various other diseases, as compared to malaria and measles and HIV. This waterborne diseases is much, much higher. And even the amount of people who, especially children, who die out of waterborne diseases is much, much higher as compared to any other uh, disease or any other problem. And some of the most common disease caused by the contaminated water, as we all know, it's typhoid, cholera, diarrhea, jaundice, and paratyphoid and gastroenteritis and various other such diseases, which are caused by various contaminants in drinking water, which is quite common. And for many years now, we have been adapting various methods to disinfect water. And these are few of the methods which we have been using. Like we all know, we have been using ultraviolet purifiers for disinfecting water, and we have been using ozonation for disinfecting water, or nowadays, for the past some 15, 20 years, using reverse osmosis has been a trend, and a lot of people have been using oro systems to treat drinking water. And of course, the oldest method is by injecting chlorine in water to kill most of the bacteria in water. Now, to one second. Okay. Uh, Now, to tell you something about some of the water treatment processes, I would like to just one second. I would like to share a screen. Yeah. Now, let's talk about ultraviolet purifier. In ultraviolet purifier, what actually happens, we all know the light, sunlight, has got various colors. We are all aware of the sun, the rainbow. The first color in the rainbow is violet, which we can see, and the last color in the rainbow is red, which we can see. But there is a frequency above and beyond this range which we can see. Now let's take violet. The color violet, before this, like with a shorter frequency, we have what is called as ultraviolet. This is a short wave, and ultraviolet has got a tendency to penetrate any organism and kill it. So even on our own human body, if too much of UV radiation is there, it can be harmful. So naturally, when it is directed towards a microorganism, it will kill these microorganisms. Whereas if you take the other end of the spectrum, that is red, and beyond that is infrared. Infrared is much more soothing to our body. It will not kill, but instead it will rejuvenate. It will induce more of blood circulation. That is why we use infrared lamp for when there is any pain in the body, to induce more blood circulation. Okay. So what is the negative point about ultraviolet radiation? See, the water has got to be absolutely pure. When I say pure, I'm saying without any suspended impurities. If it's got suspended impurity, then this ultraviolet ray will not directly come in contact with the microorganism. It will get dispersed. So the water has got to be as clear as possible. It should not contain any color, any kind of color. And these are all very important pre-treatment required for ultraviolet purification. So now I'll go to the next form of purification, that is ozonization. We all know ozone is O3, that is trioxygen, which has got a very, very effective disinfection property, even better than chlorine and other disinfectants. But ozone does not remain in water for a long time. So if you are expecting ozone to purify and keep the water pure for a longer time, then ozone is not the disinfectant you are actually looking for. It should be something which is much more sustainable, much more, which will continue to keep the water pure. Now, about reverse osmosis. Now, everybody knows about reverse osmosis, and in short, it is called as an RO because we use it in our houses. Uh, but the process of reverse osmosis, it is not killing any bacteria, but it filters out not only bacteria, it filters out dirt and dirt particles, the color. So reverse osmosis is a very excellent technology which was brought into use. It was only used for industrial application, but it came into use in domestic application, and this is an excellent technology. But the only problem with this technology is people are using it without knowing the actual use of this. Like reverse osmosis is very, very effective in desalination. You are using seawater. You can use RO to purify seawater, remove the salt. Or you have brackish water, or you have water which has got very, very high, hardness. So there, RO is absolutely useful, but not for a municipally treated water. Most of the people, because they are not aware uh, of the other technologies, or they want to go in for the best that is available in the market. So people think best means the most expensive, and RO system is expensive. So they want to give their family the best. So they buy an RO system and install it. And naturally, it is not required at that particular place. And another major, there are two issues with RO. Uh, though it's a very good technology, using RO in a municipally treated or a pre-treated water, there are two issues. Issue number one is it's more of a economics. We are wasting, it's environmental. We are wasting lot of water. To take out 30 liters of water, you are actually wasting 70 liters of water. So you can imagine, more than you drink, you're actually throwing it into your drain. So if you're, let us say a city or a small town consumes, 1 million liters of water, and you are actually discarding more than 2.5 million liters of water into the gutter, which cannot be reused. So this is one of the major problems with RO. There's another clinical problem with the RO. See, water always tries to maintain a balance. When you remove all the minerals from the water, actually in an RO is not selectively, it does not filter out. It filters everything, color, bacteria, minerals, everything it filters out. So what happens? Color, bacteria, minerals, everything it filters out. So what happens? It removes all the mineral in the water. So the water is deprived of mineral. It's like, you take a sponge and squeeze out all the water. Now you put it back into a bucket of water, it'll reabsorb. The same thing happens with an RO water. You drink the water, so naturally it has got to maintain the balance. It's got to take back the minerals it had lost. So what it does is there is an osmotic action taking place inside your stomach. So it takes out the minerals which you already have, and of course it passes out of your body as urine. So you are actually losing minerals. Though many people might argue the amount of minerals we are losing because of this process is not very high. It might can be replenished by a glass of fruit juice, and but why unnecessarily lose the minerals in the body? Okay, and now another important aspect I would like to tell about RO is that RO water, the moment it comes out of an RO equipment or an RO system, is an excellent water. It does not have any bacteria, it does not have any other harmful salts. So it's a very good water. But we do not drink water directly from an RO dispenser, very rarely. In most of the places, like in schools, you have an RO dispenser, and from that the water goes to a cooler, and from we all drink water from the cooler. Or in the houses, we catch the water in a bottle and put it inside our fridge and drink it from the fridge. So, if there is any contamination in the cap of the bottle, so this water will get recontaminated, because there is nothing in RO which can prevent any recontamination. The same way in a water cooler, what happens if there is any bacteria in the water cooler? Because very rarely in offices and schools and hospitals, wherever we are using water cooler, it is not cleaned on a regular basis. It might be a weekly basis. So if there is any bacteria which is lodged or which is in the cooler, it will recontaminate the water. And that, RO does not prevent that. So now, what are we looking for then? We are looking for a disinfectant that will not only kill the bacteria, it will be sustainable, it will be cheap, and you can use it for mass disinfection. Like you want to treat the water for an entire township or an entire village or an entire metropolitan city. So you cannot use RO water or a UV water or a ozonized water. So the best disinfection method is chlorination. Chlorination is the only disinfection method which is the most popular and most all the advanced countries in the world. When I say advanced, I mean developed countries, in Europe, entire Europe, the water is treated with the help of bleaching powder. Also, you can one second. Yeah. Bleaching powder infectant, but the problem with bleaching powder is because it has to be stored, and it is once you store it for a long time, it loses its, and it will not be as effective as. And so for expensive batteries or storage devices, whenever there is a sunlight, you can produce chlorine. And a lot of in a lot of countries in Africa, they have adapted to this solar chlorination process. And in Africa, moreover, you have longer hours of sunlight. In India, it's around 4.5 hours. In Africa, it's around 6 hours. The sunlight, because it being near the equator, the direct sunlight period is much longer. And the same process also can be done continuously, where the salt gets dissolved on its own and gets mixed up with water and gets electrolyzed, and sodium hypochlorite produced. And I told the electrode is actually made out of titanium. When Faraday, invented this particular system, titanium was not invented. So he used carbon. He used carbon as an anode or very material. But carbon tends to erode in electrolysis, and slowly, the carbon anode will slowly get eaten away. We sacrificed. So at that time, to do electrolysis by a common man would be very difficult. When I say common man, I mean at your site, you want any operator to do it. It would be very difficult because you have to constantly this process of electrolysis became, I would say, more commonplace, and everybody started using it. And now you'll be surprised that it's used in various applications, which I will explain to you in short. What are the applications? The major advantage of going in for electrochlorination is that the raw material what you require is easily available, like salt, water, and electricity. And it's easy to maintain the strength because you're going to produce it every day. You're not going to store it. So it's freshly produced, so it will not lose its strength. So there are so many other advantages, even in remote areas. Let's take an area like a little remote area like Sikkim or like Nagaland. For them to get chlorine, they have to either get it from Calcutta. It's a long way off. And to inject chlorine or to use even bleaching powder, they have to get it from a far away distance. With an electrochlorination system, it becomes so easy because you have salt everywhere. You can always use it. Okay. And apart from this, there are a few other applications which I am not. I don't have the slides to show it to you, but I can explain to you. Like, for example, you are on a ship. Okay, you want to disinfect something in the ship. So you have seawater available in the sea. You take that water, electrolyze it, that becomes sodium hypochlorite, and you can disinfect. And what is the problem in a ship or in an offshore platform? You have an oil well. It is in the sea. The main problem any equipment in the sea is the algae growth. Lot of marine organisms and algae starts growing on most of the structures in which is kept in the sea. So how do you remove those organisms? Is by taking the same seawater, electrolyzing it, and converting sodium chloride to sodium hypochlorite, and get rid of those organisms. Like in the ship, you have something what is called as a ballast chamber, where they take in water, and they will also take in organisms. So they have to get rid of those organisms. So use the same process of electrolysis of seawater, that is salt water. Now, there's one other method which is a new innovation, but a new innovation of a very, very old technology. that is using copper and silver. Most of you would be aware, your either grandparents or your parents telling you that if you keep water in a copper vessel overnight and drink it, it will be pure because it kills the I mean, they would call it pure because actually it kills the bacteria. And the not so affluent will be using copper, and the very affluent would be using silver. Like in this slide you can see a huge silver container. This actually belongs to the Maharaja of Jaipur, and he carried water, it seems, in this silver vessel when he went to London for studying. He used this water for he carried water from the Ganges, and he wanted to use it for prayer and for drinking also. And water otherwise kept for a long time in any vessel will develop algae. We call it a slime then allows algae to grow. But whereas if you keep it in a silver vessel, this problem will not happen. And even the Egyptians, even in India, Indus Valley people, they used silver and copper as a very good. It's a water disinfectant. And in the modern day, NASA, when it sent its Apollo spaceship in the year 1960, they used silver ionization for purifying the water. And in the early 50s and 60s, many people would be aware, we were using ceramic candles to filter out the water. You'll have a filter which will have a top chamber and a bottom chamber. Where you put in the water, it percolates in, filters out. But it also filters the bacteria. The bacteria will start growing on the candle. So in the early 60s and late 50s, people tried impregnating silver particles in these ceramic candles, because whatever bacteria that has been filtered by the ceramic candle would be killed by the silver. So that was one of the technology. Now using the same technology, a new technology has been developed, where you inject chlorine into water by using, once again, electrolysis. And this the silver ion in water will slowly kill the bacteria. This is called as an oligodynamic action. And to release the silver ion in water, as I told you, we use what is we use silver anodes and pass very, very, very low voltage current through them, so that silver ions are released in water and purifies the water. And this is one of the latest water purification method. The major advantage in this method is that you don't have to keep adding a disinfectant very often. You can fit it and it will last as long as the silver plate, which is the anode inside this lasts, which can be about a year or so. And after that, you might have to change it. So you don't have to bother for almost a year. And this, once again, silver leaves residual in water. Like I told you earlier, the other disinfection methods do not leave residual, but whereas silver leaves residual in water. So you can, store the water, and, that will be kept pure for a longer time and prevent the water from bacteria re-pick up. And now let me move over to the other major problem in groundwater, which we find in India, is fluorine in water. When you have from a bore well, when you take out water, it contains sometimes certain harmful chemicals like fluoride, arsenic, and excessive iron. So these are harmful for our body, especially fluorine. It causes what is called as fluorosis. Fluorosis is a problem by which your bones become little soft and they become brittle, and so they start bending. Not only that, wherever calcium is there, like your teeth, your bones, they start deteriorating. So fluorosis had been a very, very common problem in some parts of India, majorly like in the present Telangana or the earlier Andhra Pradesh, and Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, part of Orissa. All these areas had fluorine in a very large quantity in the groundwater. So now this is the map which shows where all fluoride content is much higher. Like I told you, Rajasthan has got the highest amount of fluoride in water. Then it's Telangana and Karnataka and part of Andhra, and all these states, Madhya Pradesh. These are states where you have contaminated water in the soil. So what to do about this? And here also, once again, electrolysis can be used to remove these harmful chemicals like fluorides, arsenic, nitrites, and various, the excessive iron. They all can be removed by the process of electrolysis. You must be wondering how electricity can, remove these contaminants. Here, what we use is called as a sacrificial anode. Like we use aluminium as an anode material, which releases aluminium ions in water, which will go and attach itself to most of these contaminants and form what we call it as flocks or sludge, and it will settle down. So your dirt is removed by the process of electrolysis. This is one of the recent, I wouldn't call it really that recent, more than about 20 years, people have been researching on electrocoagulation as a method to disinfect water, to purify water, to even purify effluent. When I say effluent, I'm talking about industrial effluent. Every industry throws out a lot of dirty water, and we will cover this a little later. So I'm going to the next. This is we were till now discussing about drinking water. So arsenic and fluoride is a major problem with drinking water. And during this COVID, we faced one other additional problem. It was not only the water we were worried about. We were worried about the surface, all the surfaces, because all the surfaces had the tendency to lodge bacteria, lodge virus, and make them grow. That is why all the gyms were closed, all the restaurants were closed. So people who were infected can always leave the bacteria, leave the virus on surfaces which they touch. So now disinfection of water is comparatively easier than disinfecting a surface. There is a reason behind this. See, when you mix chlorine in water, chlorine gets converted to what is called as hypochlorous acid. Hypochlorous acid, otherwise called as HOCl. It is a bactericidal a combination, and actually it is not the chlorine which kills the bacteria or a virus. It is this hypochlorous acid which is formed when chlorine comes into contact with water, that kills the bacteria. Okay, so now when you are going to disinfect a surface, you're not going to wet the surface and then start spraying chlorine, so that it can kill. So you have to create a liquid form of chlorine, uh, and that forms hypochlorous acid. So that is actually recommended by almost all the health agencies all over the world, like WHO, CDC, and various other organizations have said that hypochlorous acid is the best disinfectant. And of course, hypochlorite, which commonly people have been using, it will leave residual chlorine on the floor, on the surface, which can be harmful. Or if it touches your skin, it can be harmful. Whereas hypochlorous acid, even if it touches your skin, nothing is going to happen. There is a reason behind it, because hypochlorous acid is the acid which prevents your own body from getting contaminated. You might be wondering how. Because you see, we have white blood cells in our blood, which the moment it sees a bacteria, goes and attacks the bacteria and kills it. How does it kill? Actually, these white blood cells sprays hypochlorous acid on the bacteria, and the bacteria dies. So our immune system is actually uses hypochlorous acid in a very very wide way to kill all the bacteria. So it's a very natural thing. Even our own body relies on hypochlorous acid to kill the bacteria. So this hypochlorous acid is formed by mixing sodium hypochlorite in a low pH water. So this low pH water with chlorine causes the formation of hypochlorous acid, and this can be used for surface cleaning. Unfortunately, during this pandemic, people, without knowing which is the best disinfectant, many people have been diluting floor cleaners and bathroom cleaners and using it as a disinfectant. Because they are not aware of better disinfectants. This hypochlorous acid is the best known disinfectant, and even if it touches our skin, nothing is going to happen. Now I'm moving over to the next process. This is for basically industrial treatment. As I told you earlier, every industry, being it a paper mill, being it textile mill or a tannery, everything produces a lot of bad water. And that bad water goes into some river, some pond, or it is just put into a big container and kept aside. And this water will eventually leach and pollute the floor, ground, and it pollutes rivers. And a major pollutant in most of the rivers in India is effluent from industrial houses. And this effluent has to be treated. So there, what we have is an effluent treatment plant which uses chemicals to treat this water. By using electricity, you can get rid of those chemicals, and we use electricity and sacrificial anode to treat water. And this process is called as electrocoagulation, where you can see in the slide a dark water which is untreated. Once it passes through electrocoagulation system, it becomes very clear, and after filtration it will become very very clear. You can see in this slide. And of course, there's a lot of research yet to be done in this electrocoagulation process. It is a process which is in development, but still many people are switching over from chemical effluent treatment to electrochemical effluent treatment. And to conclude, I would like to say that pure water creates healthy environment. healthy people create a nation. And please, you can note down my email. And if you have any query, you always share it with me. And thank you.
It was really very, very, very useful. Thank you, Mr. Ravi Chandran. It was really a very, very useful webinar for not only students but also general public, I would say. It was very nice way of explaining. I have seen, which is missing sadly in some teachers, not everyone. You have explained it like a teacher. It was so simple in expression, and it was very, very easy to understand what you are talking. Certain things which has never come to our mind has also been brought to our knowledge, so that we keep care of everything, like particularly COVID situation. There are many, many things, pristine, your electrochemical. These are the things which are not known to people like us, particularly. I'm not a science student, but still I enjoyed your entire conversation throughout. Thank you so much for being with us. Now, when we talk about some questions, yes, definitely there are some questions. First, let it come from me as a student, not as a, not as a person asking questions. We have you have nicely explained this RO system, right? There is one more system which is there, which is called machine, which brings somewhere our sales people call it as zero bacteria water in a machine, which goes on online. Fortunately, fortunately or unfortunately, I have also sold that. So I'm not taking the name of the company, but definitely there are certain things which are happening. Easy selling zero bacteria water on online tape. Something like it actually does a carbon cleaning, right? These machines
Yeah.
does a carbon cleaning. You have touched that carbon cleaning system also. What is the importance of carbon cleaning and what is the use of carbon? Now, I have a question. The physical impurities can be removed with carbon cleaning, is what my understanding is. How do we ensure that these chemical impurities which are there, apart from RO systems, are in a regular drinking water? How can we manage? Like you said, copper, stainless steel, which is affordable.
Yeah. See about cleaning the water. See, let me explain the basic thing. Like water, when you go to any water treatment plant, you will see the water. It's very muddy. So in any water treatment plant, the first process is to aerate the water, make the water get rid of all the smell in the water, odor. We call it the odor control. And once that is done, then in the water they add various chemicals like chlorine and lime and alum, and allow the water to kind of settle down, and then take the water, purify it, and it comes out. And it comes out as a very, very clear water, but it might contain bacteria, so they add chlorine to it so that the bacteria is killed. Okay, now you asked me a specific question about how we can use carbon. Can we use carbon? Yes, but that is called as activated carbon. Activated carbon can absorb some of the odor in water and some of the chemicals, not all the chemicals, but definitely activated carbon cannot kill a bacteria. Yeah, activated carbon can only absorb certain chemicals and certain odor and some color. Definitely, it can absorb color, but it cannot kill bacteria. To kill a bacteria, you need a disinfectant. And as I told you, chlorine is a very good disinfectant which has been in use. So is various other forms of disinfectants if they are properly used. And in the last, I touched about silver ionization. That's the, though it's a very, very old technology or a very old system or a process. Now, a new equipment are being made so that the same old process can be used in a better way now.
Thank you, Mr. Ravichandran. Now, I have a sub question on what you have said. We are talking about the silver utensils.
I'm not able to hear your voice.
Sorry. Sorry. I have muted. My mistake. Sorry.
Sorry. Right.
Now, I'm coming to a sub question. This is on the steel part of what we are talking about the cleaning process. Uh, how stainless steel and steel is different? Because mostly we are using stainless steel at home.
Yeah. See, when you say stainless steel, it's a kind of a special steel which contains an additional chemical called molybdenum. So that makes it rust proof. In a normal steel, you don't have molybdenum, so it gets rusty, like any of the structural steel. That's also steel, but only thing is it does not contain certain other, elements. So it starts eroding or it starts rusting. So that is the only difference. And using stainless steel as a cooking vessel, it's not harmful. I mean, as far as we know, there is no any research on that particular aspect.
Okay. Now you have touched seawater disinfection or cleaning the seawater. Uh, how now we are talking about scarcity of water and in all forms, and
Yeah.
seawater is not receding; it's now exceeding. How do you see futuristic that this seawater treatment plants, which are coming up, couple of places are
Yeah,
first ones.
yeah. In India, there are a lot of new desalination plants are coming up. In Tamil Nadu, it's already there in a place called Nimili. They are treating around 100 MLD of water per day, and they're going to expand it. And there are a lot of desalination plants coming up in Gujarat, and Maharashtra, where they take the seawater, remove the salt, and supply it as drinking water. And the process used for desalination, there are so many processes, but nowadays the process that is being adapted by this large volume desalination is our good old oro. They use an oro membrane to get rid of the salt, and the water that comes out of an oro membrane is pure water. But as I explained to you earlier,